Atlantic League in South Jersey this season is Ocean City, and joining us right now, taking a few minutes out of practice, so we appreciate it, head coach Alyssa Preis. Coach, good morning to you.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. I know I've asked you this before. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Your last name is pronounced Price?
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Strange spelling for our listeners out there, but bottom line, Coach gets it done on the field. So let's start with this. Big win yesterday over Mainland. Obviously a rivalry game for you, and final score here, 21-5. You know, the scoreline obviously impresses you. Within the game, what are some of the things that stood out in this win for your girls yesterday?
Well, I mean, like you said, Mainland's a big opponent of ours, and we were just ready for them, and I just did not want them to take their foot off the gas the whole time. And yesterday, their speed just took over, and they just did not let up the entire time. I know they were a little anxious before the game, but after they got a few points on the board, they just did not let up, and it was great to see the team come together this time of the season.
Tess Salazzo, obviously, the big name in recent years in Ocean City girls lacrosse. You know, she's been gone a few years now, but certainly some other players emerging as maybe that next top talent there. Michaela Gillespie, 6 goals for you yesterday to lead the way. You know, how impressed are you with this group this year? Maybe not one ultimate standout star like Salazzo, but certainly some girls capable of scoring in bunches.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my first year was Tessa's senior year, so it was nice to come out to a team like that. And then last year, it was a lot of figuring out how to play without her. But Michaela Gillespie, Christy Rohr stepped up to that. Lauren McNally on defense took control. And with those seniors on the field, with our goalie Mo, they've really kind of led the way for the younger players coming up. And I think that some younger player names are definitely going to be big time in the next 3 years in McAl for sure.
I know last year you didn't want to call it a rebuilding year, but, you know, let's face it, you lost a lot of top talent from the year before. Now some of that talent from a year ago that you developed is sort of paying off this season. You know, how much fun is it as the head coach to see some younger players develop into some players that that they're becoming this year?
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. I mean, we took about 6 or 7 freshmen last year and pulled them up, and most of them did what they had to do, and they definitely grew. And then this year, and I think more of that sophomore group, that 2017 group, just kind of said, you know, I want to be on the field, I want to do what I have to do, and they really have taken a leadership role. And then not to mention we have 2 freshmen starting this year too. So it's just awesome to see so much young talent. I think our feeder program is finally starting to, you know, bleed into the high school.
Year number 3 for you, so at the high school level. You know, what's changed for you? Obviously, your first season, you had a top talent there in Salazzo, and obviously an adjustment period stepping in as a head coach. But, you know, what's changed for you, whether it's coaching style, practice style, from year 1 to year 2 to now year 3?
Well, I think that when I came in here, you know, I came from Washington Township High School, volunteering with them for a few years, and I had, you know, merged some of our daily routine with Ocean City, and I think that the first year I really kind of left it to Tess and Casey Hanna to, you know, help me, you know, get into Ocean City lacrosse. And now with merging what I know from Washington Township, Ocean City, and then this year my assistant coach was the head coach at Oakcrest last year. So I think our coaching staff is great, and I think we're just finally, you know, settling into what is going to be known as Ocean City lacrosse now. And I'm just so proud of them for yesterday, and I just can't wait for the rest of the season. Checking
in right now with Ocean City girls lacrosse coach Alyssa Preis. Again, Ocean City, one of the top teams in the Cape Atlantic League, coming off a big win over Mainland, 21-5 yesterday. Coach, you look at the landscape of the Cape Atlantic League this year, and you know, obviously Middle Township is a team a lot of people are talking about too, and you know, there's some up-and-coming programs, some new programs in the Cape Atlantic League. As a whole, your opinion, what's the level of play right now in the Cape Atlantic League? And then the second part of that question, how encouraging is it to see some new programs start up here?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, sorry, we're right by an airport over here. You know, it's just with the Cal, you know, having so many new teams this year, it really allowed us to step out of our league and play some out-of-conference games, which is really exciting. You know, before, since you're only allowed to play 20 games, you had to play each team twice. So with the possibility of playing out-of-conference teams in addition to all of the Cal teams, it's really giving us a better view of South Jersey lacrosse as a whole. So it's so great to see so many teams down here now. There is a travel team coming this summer into the Shore area, and it is combining the top players in the Cal on one team, and myself and my assistant coach are coaching that league this summer. So super excited to see such great players from middle to lower here, mainland. Just it's so nice to finally see us in the Cal getting some recognition, in all of South Jersey lacrosse.
You hinted at the feeder programs a little bit earlier on. How impressed have you been with those programs? Lacrosse, girls lacrosse in the area, still relatively young. I mean, we're talking about the program at Ocean City being less than 15 years old. Obviously, the feeder program is very young too, but you said it. They're kind of stepping up to the plate now, and you're getting girls with more experience in the sport.
Oh, yeah. The woman that runs our feeder program, I see her often, and I can't tell you, every time I see her, she's got another person to tell me about. Her 8th grade team, I think, has 30 girls on it. So it's exciting to know that next year there's just as many girls coming in that already have knowledge of lacrosse, already love lacrosse, already have aspirations to play for us. They come and watch our practices sometimes. They come and see our games. So it's really cool to know that there are girls coming up that are already familiar with our program and, have a goal in their mind to be the next Tess or the next Michaela or whoever, whatever they want to do, they know they want to be on the field with us. So I think lacrosse is growing at a rapid speed down here, and I'm really excited to be a part of it.
Obviously, you love to have the kids coming out of those feeder programs, but how much of it, too, is maybe, seeing or knowing an athlete from another sport and saying, hey, why not come out and try lacrosse? It's not the easiest sport to pick up, but we've seen it in recent years with girls in different teams. If you excel at one sport, if you're an athlete, it's a pretty natural transition to girls lacrosse. Do you have some girls on the team this year a little bit newer to the sport but picking it up pretty fast?
Yeah, I mean, field hockey is such a big thing down here in Ocean City, so obviously knowing that they have the athleticism to run up and down on the field on field hockey, so I'm always going after them just because the crossover in the sport is so high. But I'm also I also keep my eye out for any freshman basketball players on the field, because if on the court, if there's any freshman girls that get moved up to JV, I'm usually talking to them about lacrosse, because they may not realize it, but lacrosse is basketball with sticks. So any girl that plays basketball and field hockey, I definitely want her on the lacrosse field.
What's the easiest way? This is going to sound like a simple question, but to explain the sport, people that know boys lacrosse, they know the contact, they know how it's played. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen girls high school lacrosse, it's a lot different. How would you describe sort of the style or the flow of the game? I know it can be a little choppy at times, but a lot more natural movement allowed from the players.
Yeah, I mean, U.S. lacrosse in general is trying to keep girls lacrosse as traditional as it has been, just goggles and mouth guards, no helmets or padding like the boys. They want to keep the integrity of the game. And girls learning the sport of lacrosse can be a little sloppy, and that's when fouls come into play. So people do find it frustrating to watch a girls lacrosse game. They don't understand the whistles all the time. But the whistles are to keep the girls safe and to keep them playing clean lacrosse. And I think that, you watch a youth game versus a varsity game, and there are a lot less whistles. They really just keep them playing clean with sportsmanship, and they have to do that, or else it will turn into boys lacrosse with pads and helmets and things. Contact is allowed, but there's very strict rules about the stick, where you can check them, things like that, just to make sure that all the girls are safe on the field.
Alyssa, how far does this program have to go to maybe catch up with more established programs in South Jersey? You mentioned you coached at Washington Township. I know there's some more established programs up that way. How far does an Ocean City, how far does the Cape Atlantic League in general have to go to maybe catch up to some of those programs, or is it there already?
We're getting there. I think that there are teams down here like middle and lower and us that are starting to catch up with some of the more established teams. We played Cherry Hill East earlier this season, and I really think that if we would have played them, later in the season, we would have handled them without a problem. We played Northern Burlington in a few weeks, and I'm excited to see that. But I do think that we're slowly filling that gap between us, and the feeder programs is one way that we're going to do it. A lot of the schools have them now, which is great. And another thing is spreading the travel teams down here. The South Jersey Devils lacrosse program has always been centered in Washington Township, but since I used to coach there and the woman that runs it was my head coach, she asked me to start a team down here. So we have a 2017 travel team coming from the Cal. Next year, we're hoping to have, younger teams in that travel team, that goes and competes in all the big tournaments in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Virginia. And I think once we get girls playing lacrosse outside of spring season, then that gap is just going to get smaller and smaller between us and those more North South Jersey teams.
What are some goals you set for your team to start the year? Obviously, winning the Cape Atlantic League is included, but in terms of state playoffs, you're going to run into some really top teams from Central Jersey, North Jersey. Mm-hmm. Do you put certain goals on that? Is a state championship something you can realistically strive for at this point? Is it a certain round of the playoffs? Do you put sort of a number on that?
I mean, obviously that's every coach's goal. I think right now this season, none of us really knew what was going to come out this season with, like you said, having that kind of rebuilding year last year. I knew I had some strong seniors, but it was really about which sophomores and freshmen were going to step up to the plate. I think right now we're in a position where, we almost kind of shocked ourselves, with this 8-1 run, but I think concentrating on the next game, we have big games coming up this week. We haven't even really looked at the state standing. I think just the other day I noticed that we were like number 4 in the Group 3 South, which is awesome. It would, if we could stay there, it'll give us a really good standing going into states. But in the 3 years that I've been here, we've been to the state tournament each time and lost in the first round. So I guess right now, winning the first round would be our first goal. Winning a state title is always in the dreams, but knowing that Morristown is an obstacle you got to face is a little frustrating, but, someday.
Someday, wishful thinking there. Obviously, a great start from Ocean City. Head coach Alyssa Preis, again, the Red Raiders, 8-1 so far. Big win over Mainland yesterday. Coach, thanks for taking the time out of practice, and good luck to you and your girls the rest of the season.
Thanks so much.
All right, again, Alyssa Preis, head coach of the Ocean City Red Raiders girls lacrosse program.